Out. Now it's recording. Gonna read it again. Yeah. Hello, everyone.
This is we got to keep these clips because this will be
No,
wait,
exactly,
it's going to
exactly.
be, this is where it started.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm right now. Okay, we're recording it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
put it online. It's because we're laughing because this is the second take. The first take was not recorded. I forgot to hit record, and now we're recording. So the intro goes like this. What does it take to bring ice sports to the desert? Saudi Arabia is already making history for hosting the 2029 Asian Winter Games. But could this be just the beginning of something even bigger? Joining me today is Mark Sadovnick, straight out of California, where it's still morning, while here it's still late. Mark is a global leader in executive search and impact driven initiatives, and he has an exciting vision launching a full scale ice hockey and figure skating program in Saudi Arabia. From developing young talent to building Olympic level athletes, his initiative could turn ice sports into a thriving industry in the kingdom. How does this fit into Saudi Arabia's future? What will it take to make it happen? We're just about to find out. Hi, Mark. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here and excited to really start developing what we're talking about here. So I can't wait to get into it.
Me too. Can't wait to support in any way. Can you tell us who Mark Sadovnick is and how did you come up with this genius idea?
Well, might be overstating me, but we'll go we'll go over it. So born in Montreal, Canada, McGill University, CPA, Deloitte, and big hockey fan for a long time, big sports fan for a long time. I think it's illegal in Canada not to be a hockey fan. I'm not sure, but but played hockey, coached hockey, the whole bit, and some other sports too, but predominantly a lot of hockey. And I I first learned about, I guess, people. When I do my podcast, I ask people about influencers and stuff. And my first influencer was really my grandfather, who actually had been from Kiev. My grandfather, my grandmother, whatever, came from Kiev. And one day I just asked him, "How do you know all these people?" He talked to everybody. "How do you know all these people?" He took me for walks in the park in Montreal when I was 5 and 6, and he said, "Well, one day I just smiled at that guy," and he pointed to the guy, and he looked up and smiled at me, and he came over, and we started talking, and then we started doing stuff together, and whatever, and then someone else saw, and so on. And as a 5-year-old, I realized um, how much he loved talking to people and the impact he was making just by smiling, type of thing. So I'm thinking, wow, life's easy, which it is at 5. Life's easy, and so on. And then on and on in my career, I worked for the largest private real estate developer at the time in Canada and got a lot of experience there. But I also was so into hockey, I hung around the pro hockey team there, and they said, you can help us maybe bring more kids into the sport and that. And we said, sure, we'll help you. And we got pre-internet, got 3,000 kids signed up in 3 days.
How did
Uh,
you do this? Like,
just
did you
by
go
talking
knocking
to
on
people,
doors?
everything, talking to people, getting on the radio, going into other sports, sports clubs, kids clubs, schools, the whole bit. But a lot of them, again, wanted to be around the players, and we got the players to come out and meet people. We got special events at the hockey game. When the Montreal hockey team came in, we had this done for the team. We called it tuxedo night, and men came in tuxedos and women came in gowns to watch the hockey game. It was a big event and stuff like that. You make it fun and you make it educational, the whole bit, and all these pieces come into play in what we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
Um, then they actually offered me my dream job of ever, to work for a pro hockey team. The only person that told me to take another job, which was heading up as executive director of global leadership development organization. Way less money than they were going to pay me. But the president of the hockey team said, "That's the one you should take. The money will come. You're going to make a big impact. You're going to learn a ton by meeting leaders around the world." And he was 100% right. So I relocated to Miami, where world headquarters was, and I met a lot of great leaders. Can I say I met a lot of sucky leaders too on this, which was kind of true, but it differentiated who was who, and so on. And then, so my whole life has really been about talent and teamwork and leadership and making an impact and being really interested in other people, not just try to be as interesting and get all the attention
Mhm.
for yourself type of deal.
That's
And
that's probably what makes good leaders. I think it's being interested in other people, right? But
yeah,
in your opinion, are leaders, and sorry to cut you off, but are leaders born or made? Like, is it a talent that you're born with, or is it like a mix of both things, in your opinion?
it's it's got to be somewhat of a mix. I'm not a scientist, although I know a lot of them, but I think it's got to be a mix. But I also think I'm so glad you raised that because in work we do about executive search, we're attracting great people who want to go work where they can both make money and have purpose. And what we find is how it affects what you're talking about. Those people in their jobs or businesses, when they go home at night and they could say one of two things. My boss sucks. I really don't know what I'm doing there. I'm probably not going to get a bonus. We don't even do anything important. Give me a beer, I'll sit on, watch the
Mhm.
TV and whatnot. And the kids hear that. Or they come home and they say, you guys, I got to tell you what happened today at work. And let's have dinner and talk about what happened today at work. And the head of the company actually talked to me and everything. And this stuff is that. And we're going to be doing some work in food security, at a food bank or whatever. And the kids hear that. I think it starts there where they start to feel what really is important and wow, that sounds really cool. And having conversations about entrepreneurship and what's going on in the world and not just being stuck on one point of view somewhere all the time, but being open to other things. And you and I have talked about this, how important it is to bring people together and be able to engage and over sports as well as music is the best ways to a lot of times do that. So but it does have to be like a muscle developed. And you do have to, and we're learning, and leaders are learning now. I had an interview with a CEO just over a year ago who said, I'm having the best time being a CEO that I've ever had. I can actually be emotional, God forbid, be emotional. I can be vulnerable. Like I don't have to pretend to know everything anymore. And I found that now that I trusted my people to do what they do, they're doing great. And that allows me to not have to worry about everything, but be more strategic and maybe help them be more successful in what they do, which is good for everybody. So leadership is hard, but it's not. You know,
Do you have did you grow up in a house like was there any inspiration? Did you see other leaders? Like you just said that, um kids, as a kid you see your parents talking about things that matter or talking about leadership, and then you get inspired and you follow in their footsteps. Was that something that you saw?
when it came to making an impact and being involved in the community, that definitely was from my parents. But we had the traditional, certainly not even close to rich, family. My mom was a stay-at-home mom. Never even knew how to drive. She was a stay-at-home mom, and my dad worked. Never
In
really made a
Canada.
lot of money, but he cared. And and we never with the whole thing about not making a lot of money. There was a lot of love going around, and I did see some people had more stuff, but it didn't bother me because we had something there, and my the biggest impact on me was sports. Being around people that are doing great things and seeing a great coach praise somebody for effort, even though maybe he hadn't scored a goal in 10 games or whatever. It didn't matter, for effort and learning and even in working with parents on how to act at games, basically.
Yeah.
It's 99.9% of them are not going to make the pros. So you've got to teach them beyond what's just happening in the game. You've got to teach them about life and working together and all that. And we can get into it because this is all what's important and the vision we have. So, and I learned, you learn from great leaders, and which is why I ask people who have been influencers in their lives, and I get amazing stories from grandparents to grade seven teachers who were really great with good kids and things of that. And I think one thing we have to realize all the time is we're influencing people all the time, whether we know it or not. It could be one statement at one moment at the right time in a person's life that it hits home, or over a
Exactly.
long-term thing. And it's a marathon, as they say. It's not a sprint.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And we're influencing whether it could be negative or negatively or positively. So you have to be careful. And I really think just to build on what you just mentioned about leadership, I think leaders are people who are able to inspire others, bring people together, and maybe find a common objective, something that everybody solve a problem as well. Before I forget, was that what made you start Fifth Element and your company? And I would love to know where the name comes from.
Yeah, you did ask me that, right? I forgot.
Yeah, that was before we hit record. So
So Fifth Element, the name Fifth Element, well, there is a movie, but that's not it. Fifth Element is really about a bigger aura, a bigger cause, a bigger idea, a bigger energy that's out there. That is called the Fifth Element, and so that's what we try to be. And you know, we realized as partners came together that impact and talent really come together and strengthen each other all the time. To the point of most people want to go work where they can have economic and social impact. We talk to business leaders all the time about, who can give us the stories of by being leaders who care about both economic and social impact, they do better. And giving you an example, when we get people that want to join companies, and if that's exactly what they want, economic and social impact, then they'll continue it for that company and it becomes sustainable to do both. It's not bad to make money. It's not a bad thing. It's the only way the social environmental impact will be enduring if you have money, for that. Philanthropy is obviously really good too, but you can't rely just on philanthropy. You've got to create and create more. And so we saw that by helping leaders of companies amplify whatever impact they want to make, and sometimes it's food security, poverty, water, innovation, whatnot, amplify that. The employees are happier. They're more proud of their company. They stay, they develop better, and they attract other people. It's just like a professional sports team. Players go to a team where they see they can win, where they see they can, it's not about the money. They'll make money. They'll go
yeah,
to
exactly.
where they can be with players that want to win, that want to do great, et cetera, et cetera. And that's how it increases everybody else's level too. And I'll just give you a little example. So let me finish that statement. So we saw that how it comes together so easily is if we represent our clients as leaders who care and we have proof that they care, then we can attract those best people to go there. And they know we're not BSing, if you will, if I can say that on air,
Of
because
course you can.
we do have proof that'll happen. And those are the organizations and companies to this day, and with AI, that'll happen even more. They'll want to go to the companies that are making things happen, where they can also make money. And I compare a lot of things to sports, and I've used this a lot where um, two quick examples. One of our founders is an astronaut, and he's been up in the space shuttle and the whole bit. And he said even with all the training he had, he looked down at Earth and he saw, wow, it's amazing. It's just hanging there. How does it do that in the middle of nowhere? And it's got so much water, and it's beautiful, and there's no borders either because you don't see
Yeah,
them. And
exactly.
when he came back, he said it was a rough landing, and there was some grass and dirt and rocks and whatnot. And he said he realized he was home. But then he realized he was in Kazakhstan, and
Mm.
Earth was home, not
Mm,
anything else. Earth was home. Now he said we should all be proud of our homes as we think it, but it's one home. And what he said, I compared to sports leagues. Earth is a league. We're all in a league, and Earth is
exactly.
the league, and we're all different teams in the league. We all want to win the championship of the league. But if the league isn't valuable and strong, the championship's not valuable at all, basically. So we will do everything to win. And that's what elevates everybody, and everybody learns by competing. So competing is good.
It is.
Um, but the winning is not going to be worth anything if you don't care about the whole league. And that's what I think sports does. It teaches us all these things that we're talking about. And that's what we saw with doing with Fifth Element. People want to belong. And
Exactly.
we've talked about this before, and they find out where people are the happiest and live the longest is because the thing that fills their hearts and souls more than anything is belonging to something. And it's powerful. It's powerful. Even the word love, God forbid you say the word love somewhere. It's important. It's the thing, as Einstein said, love is the thing that of most abundance of all in the whole world.
Yeah,
And we
it's a powerful energy. Actually, it's an energy in itself. Um, all right, that's super interesting. So, how did we didn't talk about the ice hockey part?
that's the
Okay,
key
so
part now.
you were just a couple of weeks ago. You were in Davis, and you had some conversation with officials, Saudi officials, and people from Saudi. Obviously, as you know, Saudi Arabia is officially hosting the Winter Games in 2029. How do you think this, your initiative could complement their national efforts?
Yeah, I'm super excited about that because I know you got 29, 30, 34 goals
Yeah,
also in
soccer.
Saudi.
Worked out.
And so I started talking to some people I know in Riyadh. I started talking to Bahrain, and then I was in Davos, as you mentioned, where a lot of international people were, and I went to the Saudi pavilion there, and we were talking about it, and they said, "Well, we're building a ski resort in the desert."
It's amazing.
It is amazing, and and football, what we call soccer here, but football, actually, football is the better way of saying it because you play with your foot.
Exactly.
But football is growing like crazy in Saudi also, and they said, and you're from Canada, and I was wearing this cap that said Canadien hockey, Canadians hockey. What about
That's
an ice
nice.
hockey program in Saudi? And I said, well, I hadn't really thought about it, but that's amazingly exciting. I said right at that moment, amazingly exciting. And so I've been talking to people like yourselves and whatnot about the right relationships and moving forward and going to visit Riyadh, also some people in Riyadh about what would happen if we did initiate an ice hockey and figure skating programs. So you can have, guys and girls also figure skating, but also playing hockey. Um, the 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 opportunity to grow a whole youth program that will develop and achieve all the things we've talked about: economic impacts, social impacts, environmental impacts, belonging, well-being, leadership, team, you name it. I can go through it all in detail, um, as well as develop an Olympic team to represent KSA in championships, in the Olympics, etc. China
Do we
did
have
it.
time? Do you have time to train people from scratch? Like we're 4 years away. Do you think 4 years is enough?
If we start now,
Yeah,
it's enough. And China did it for a Chinese team. And it's absolutely, and we know the great thing about this is it's not like I'm starting in hockey and I never don't know anything about the sport. I know a lot of people in the industry. I know a lot of
yeah,
people in real estate and a lot of people in all this stuff that can happen. And there's a lot of players that would be proud to play, for a country like Saudi Arabia and train other people with some background that they would come
yeah.
in with, like and heritage and whatnot in their ancestry. And and develop players. Would you win the championship? Probably not, but you can compete. 100% you can compete. And imagine like I said, for the Four Nations Global Series that just went on with Finland and Sweden, Canada, and US, young people are looking at them same way they look at the football players and whatnot, and they're inspired. Man, I want to do that. I want to get on the ice. And the best thing in the world for young people is to be on a team and learn so much of this stuff and learn that exercise can be fun and is valuable. Learn on studying, how to be most effective as a teammate and how to be most effective, playing. How to how to prepare and visualize. I was taught by a hockey coach years ago how to visualize before I even got onto the ice or onto the field.
Mhm.
And he said, you can even apply this to what you do studying or what you do at work. Visualize before you get there, so you've already been there. And now with VR and AR, you can do all sorts of things, with that. well-being is a big, big deal. Physical, mental well-being is a huge deal. And if you make it fun, it's a lot easier than, you have to go exercise or something like that if you make it fun like that. But so there's a lot of play there that we love doing. And I know professional hockey players are the best. They love working with kids and
Mm,
and teaching them and so on. And obviously the pros respect professionals, highly also. And so, but there's other aspects there too. There's entertainment aspect of figure skaters. There's entertainment aspect of having special dinners and lectures and going to hospitals and inspiring young people there, and a lot of stuff that you can do. Um and you know and having heroes. We need heroes. We need people that inspire and influence and champion for things like that. So the other part is there's things like apparel, there's merchandise, there's a lot of economic impact that can happen.
exactly.
That's also could be pride. When you have these hockey series going on, people are wearing the team's jerseys, right? They're
Mm,
wearing the
yeah,
country's jerseys, they're doing all that stuff. So the impact I think it could make, and especially with cool branding, if you will, would be fantastic. And I think figure skaters could be developed super fast also, in 4 years. And so no one's left out, if you will, because there's male and female figure skaters, but there's actually female hockey now too, which is really taking off. So
exactly.
who knows? Yeah.
So at what age do people usually start the training, learn like
Um,
kids?
my
Start at
kids
eight,
started. No, my kids started
two, a two.
at 2. They start with, like, a little walker
Yeah,
hanging on to something on the ice and skate,
you were
and then
born skating as baby,
yeah,
as you mentioned yesterday,
and
right?
and, and they go, and they wear helmets and stuff, and they're fine, but they go. And but I knew a pro hockey player that never skated before he was 11, and
Yeah,
learned how to do it. So it's what else it's something unique and new that I think people would love to see, and it's exciting, and it's a fast sport, and things like that, and it's exciting. Another thing that develops from it is roller hockey. There's also roller hockey
mm,
that
yeah,
happens, and kids can do that on the streets or whatnot, doing that too. So there's a lot of different aspects. But the impact that can be made locally, regionally, nationally, and globally is super exciting. And with, the kingdom moving into skiing and all that too. And by the way, if it's hot, there's no better place to go than a hockey arena.
yeah, totally, exactly. We'd have the whole country going there. I
Well,
think
no, we'll
I think
just
we
have
would
a
need
lot of
quite a
arenas.
few.
We'll just have a lot of arenas and a lot of rinks all over the place. And it's funny, I say that, but when it gets really hot in places like Arizona or California or Florida, they have what they call cooling centers, and arenas are also cooling centers for people to go
Yeah,
out of the heat. So
totally.
that's not the prime purpose of the rink, but it works. And it's so much fun. So we're super excited about the whole possibility. There's so many multi-level possibilities and opportunity that can happen from this. And anytime you bring in people together, that's why I had the league example. If you have KSA against other countries playing a sport, or you have other young people coming to KSA for tournaments, which I did when I was young, and I coached kids doing it, international tournaments all over the place, whether you're 7 or 17. You know what kind
Yeah,
of experience that is for everybody. We used to do something called billeting, where the teams would stay at other teams' homes
exactly.
during tournaments to
Mm,
get to know them.
exchange,
Exchange, yeah, and it's
cultural.
spectacular. It's spectacular. I mean, that's how you stop bad things from happening, by people getting to know each other. Um,
Exactly.
you
From
know,
different cultures, different religions as well. And I think that's what Saudi Arabia is working towards right now. They are trying to break stereotypes, opening up. So what would be, I think that would be a great idea actually to brand, to market Saudi Arabia as a place where you can play ice hockey. Like it's actually, it goes against the stereotype of this is just desert and, tents and stuff, right?
it's funny, when I was in when I was in Davos, the last night there was a party. It's called Arabian Nights, and they
Yeah.
did have a couple of camels that came.
Oh, really? In
They
the
did.
snow.
And then
Poor camels.
I was going to say poor camels is right. But you're right on, and the thing that turns me on the most has always been the international tournaments where kids meet other kids from different countries. There's no better way, to eliminate or prevent kids from thinking something they may have heard somewhere versus,
Exactly.
meeting someone. And they become so often, I know so many people from those exchanges that you become friends forever. And perspectives change and great things happen from that. We're social animals. We want to know other people. And we have to get out of our comfort zones and whatnot and do it. So let's go, man.
Definitely. Yeah, let's do it. So we just talked about the impact on youth and on community, but what about the business side of it, the finance, like the investment opportunities? What like can we unpack that a little bit?
Sure. There's a lot of different places and investment where investment comes from. Starting at the top, it's always great to have public-private, partnerships where both sides get involved. If government puts in a little bit at the beginning, whatever that is, then private starts to feel safer and they put in. Doesn't always have to work that way, but a lot of times it can work that way. There's a lot of corporates that love the branding of being involved with both, depending on who their marketplace is, with youth or adults or professionals or whatnot. A lot of people, a lot of companies put their names, most companies put their names on arenas now and rinks.
Mhm. Yeah.
Um, there's companies that sell the hockey equipment and sports equipment and the drinks and the beverages. And there was one time we were talking to Starbucks of having Star Pucks instead of Starbucks,
Oh, yeah.
and
Smart.
doing that. So there's philanthropy of family offices that believe in physical and mental well-being and how that's important. And you can get funding there. There's multi layers of where funding can come from because the market, their audience is a huge audience, and it can go if you credit card companies, if they get a kid starting in college to take their credit card, generally that kid keeps that credit card their whole life. They work
Yeah.
with them the whole time. Young people, even young people, buying apparel. They want to wear the jerseys all the time. There's so many layers of it, and then there's also the opportunities for physiotherapists, for medical people, for sports management people.
Mm.
When kids are in sports, a lot of them say, "Man, I want to be a professional," but 99% of them can't. But there's so many types of positions in the sports world that you can get into that is
Right.
also fantastic for young people and creates more opportunities, for them. It could be sports management. It could be an agent for somebody. It could be a medical doctor. I mean, you name it. It could be the person selling, which one, not, bicycles that don't move, whatever they're called. I can't
Oh,
remember
yeah,
it.
yeah. Yeah.
Stationary bicycles, things of that nature. So there's a lot of different people you can go after in companies to get sponsorship funding as well as investment funding. And yeah, and for something like this happening in Saudi, I
Yeah.
can only imagine what the interest would be to be involved in something like that, especially at the beginning.
Yeah.
And you make it like a founders thing. You make it special for the ones that come in early, get the advantage of it and so on. And um, it's endless. And the good news is I've had experience in all that from youth to professional and everything in between, but also trying to get rid of the but part, and also how to match the business skills, the talent skills and whatnot to the actual playing the sports skills. Um, and you've got to put great teams together. I don't mean just the sports teams. You've got to put great teams together who know how to run an arena, great teams that know how to, handle all the legal of this stuff, great
Mm.
teams that know how to do real estate development, which I have been involved in. How do you template arenas or hockey rinks so that you can do multiples to grow the sport even faster? and what's the best way to do them. You don't have to have a professional arena everywhere. You can have small arenas in different parts of a country to get interest going. So there's a lot of, and it's all about talented people and how to build a good team to make all these
Mm.
things happen, to be able to scale a company. And again, from my executive search background, we put a lot of talented people into growing companies, and you have to have people that know how to build teams and to scale a company to grow,
Mm.
that it's effective and sustaining. So
No,
I,
I think you would be the best man to do this. You know, giving your background, your because you're bringing both sides, the business side, which is very important, but you've also been a player yourself, nice hockey player, a big fan, you love it. So, and you always need this, you know, not just an executive to run this, but somebody who really cares about the sport itself, who really wants to export it, and who cares so as well about the country. You know, like off before hitting record, we were talking the other day about you know how much you care about the region and how like you know you really love the idea that Saudi Arabia just opened up, right? So
but it's
I
it's
think you should go for it.
yeah. Well, we're going for it, man, and you're coming with us.
Yeah, that's for sure.
There's a lot of things that have happened recently in the last few weeks that I'm feeling really great about. Legal people, corporate people, when you tell about it, that are interested, and so on, because they see the opportunity, and how fun it would be to be able to say, you know, whatever the brand can be, this is really cool, and this is really in the hottest place in the world. This is the coolest
And
thing to
you're
do.
making history as well, by the way. This is right, like this is history for sure. And just and also add to what you've everything you've mentioned before. I would like to add that the tourism part of it. Like this would attract a lot of tourism from countries, from unexpected countries to the kingdom. Like, look, everybody, all the countries that play ice hockey, like Sweden, Scandinavian countries, Canada, countries that don't naturally go to Saudi Arabia. Like I would guess, like
100%.
South European countries would go to Saudi Arabia, but the other countries in the north are probably not as familiar. But suddenly, when you hear about playing ice hockey, sending their kids on tournaments, you know,
You're right. It's opening up your minds and hearts and souls and everything, and seeing different things. The National Hockey League, for example, does have now hockey games in different countries. So we could easily bring, some of the pro teams to Saudi Arabia and have their games played there and show people what it's like. And like you said, bring kids to come play there, and engage with each other. And certainly tourists from the Middle East. If you would go to Riyadh and you've got advertisement, how can you come to Riyadh without checking out a hockey game, type of thing?
that would be awesome.
You know,
It sounds like a movie actually. Like we are, it's a movie in the making, right? So it's history. So can you walk us through how, like, if you were to get the green light tomorrow from the MBS, you know, Mohammed bin Salman, the king, what would you do first, and how would you like kickstart this?
yeah, the first thing I would do is I would identify and all at the same time. I'd identify leaders in the kingdom that could be part of the team, that could lead in the team. You absolutely have to, because it's a smart thing to do, have local representation, that have relationships, that really care about being involved and whatnot. And
But
then,
leaders without experience, like
no,
leaders who don't play ice hockey, because it's new,
not
right?
necessarily playing ice hockey, but it could be maybe other sports. It
Yeah.
could be also real estate, apparel, well-being, leadership, all those different areas that are going to be important in there. And then identify really quickly, where are funders for this? And when I say funders, again, it's private and public investors, it's family offices, it's corporates, it's entrepreneurs that have done very well, and things like that are interested, and get them to come together and get as much funding as you can as quick as possible. And then look for different leadership teams. Look for an overall leadership team. Doesn't have to be big initially. It can be a lean management team at the beginning, that can one person can scale this by themselves. So you'd have the infamous, like, financial person, communications persons, people like that can that can handle leading the whole thing, and then have, other leadership teams for, okay, a team to develop, how many rinks do we want to start with? Do we want to start with 1 or 5 or 10? Depending on the cost benefit analysis and the funding, how fast do we want to scale it? If
Is
we
it
want
easy
to,
to build one? Like, is it costly? Is it expensive to build?
well, a pro arena would be a lot more obviously than a
Yeah,
regular.
yeah, of course.
But
Yeah.
what would probably happen is you'd build 1 or 2 really great arenas and then small rinks for the youth programs for them to play. You don't need
Mm,
massive rinks for the youth programs because you can start both and should start both as soon as possible to do it. And then there's whatever you want to call it, a PR recruitment
yeah.
type of play for, and it can all happen at the same time. You don't want to wait till all the funding's in to start recruiting people. You can do it
Mm,
all at the same time because we will get the funding. I'm
yeah.
100% sure on this
That's
project
sure.
like this. And so you start talking to youth that are exercising in schools where they're doing whatever, and you say, and introduction to hockey type of thing, and you bring some people out, even some people well known in sports, like in football, there to come out as well to talk about it. Because when I was in Montreal, when we weren't playing hockey, we were playing football, soccer, because they're very similar, except one's on ice. um, so you do all these things, and you do it in a systematic way. But the key is talent, getting the right people, right place, and 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 don't necessarily, because the goal would be an Olympic team and the youth program pretty well developed over 4 years, rinks ready to go, sponsors and whatnot, and you get sponsors to sign on for like 10 years,
Wow.
not like 1 year,
Is
for
that how
10
it works? Wow.
and because you get in now. It's like investing in any company. You get in
Yeah.
now, you got a little better deal, but you get in now, you got to do it for a longer term. And could it be risky? Anything could be risky, but it's probably not. And so, the ones that get in for longer get a better deal, if you will. And then you come in for that, and they get to be known as the ones that were there at the beginning. You know, I was there at the beginning of the Florida Panthers before they were born, helping to get it and move it. And I had the Stanley Cup, which is the big Stanley Cup trophy and whatnot in my house and in my office and everything, and which was
Mm.
super exciting because no one's supposed to touch it, whatever. And but to your question, we know exactly how to put the teams together. And to your point, having the executive search and the leadership and knowing talent, we absolutely know what people to put in one positions.
Exactly.
And
You have a big network as well.
yeah, and you had said it before. Great people are going to be super excited about doing something like this.
Be part
Scott,
of history, about
yeah,
being part of history.
most people don't want to, they're not looking for jobs. They're looking for
No.
opportunities. They're looking for excitement, looking for things like that. And, tech will play a big part too. And we do a lot of work in tech where how to use AI to our advantage for a lot of these things also, from everything from putting plans together, blueprints, you name it,
Yeah.
to um, to teaching, to all sorts of things that it could do, but and creating basically a database
Yeah.
of young sports people and other people like that, and how they're developing, because you can put different programs of credentials as they keep getting older and better, etc. And you have what we would call, let's say, AAA leagues and AA leagues and so on, and different levels people are at. And so you tie in with schools, you do a lot of things. So I hope that's not a rambling of how to do it, but
No, that's
it's
great.
clear in our mind how to do
Yeah.
it.
I can see that. And also, I think there's a sustainability side to it as well. Sustainable solutions, solar powered cooling,
100%.
maybe eco-friendly eye surfaces that, there's plenty of sun over there. Have you guys thought about this?
Yeah, I need a better tan. I've definitely thought about it. I need a better tan. Um, no, it's we do so much work with talent that want to go where the company's sustainable, where they care about the environment and whatnot, and absolutely take advantage of the sun and everything, and I was going to say the technologies that we can use and the reputation of being able to report on, like ESG, what they're doing in Saudi Arabia
Yeah.
that keeps the ice cold but doesn't use up too much energy. and so on. It could be spectacular. It could be leader of leaders in doing something like this on things like sustainability, ESG, and carbon emissions, and you name it. And um, just like they're doing in other things, it can be fantastic. And you've got now the best transportation system, which I'm dying to get on because I've heard it's like
Mm.
they have what they have over there now is incredible to get to places as well. And all that could be part of a whole branding, in itself. What can be done, and you know, specialized air conditioning. They've got special ways of. By the way, an arena can be used for multiple things. They could be used for
Mm.
concerts. It can be used for all sorts of things that they are all over the world, and they do that all the time. And so you have to have an arena that knows how to switch from ice to wood really quickly, and that's already perfect. We know how to do that, and so there's a lot of different things there. But it is a great point, and one thing we didn't really mention, we sort of talked indirectly about it, is jobs. Tons of
Yeah,
jobs
job creation. Yeah.
that'll happen from it, even for youth. Hey, my sons, when they were younger, they worked for the hockey team helping out with marketing, helping teaching younger kids how to skate. And that's another thing that happens too. You give them jobs and they're not making a lot of money, but they're young, but they love teaching younger kids how to skate and how to be a goalie and this and that. And that's education in itself by being able to do that. And then when they get into business or whatnot, they've led, they've taught, they have they know how to handle and work with people and so on. So um, there's so many levels that make this incredible.
Yeah, exactly. And the job creation as well. I think there is a whole industry around ice hockey, right? So I can easily imagine thousands of people or hundreds. I don't know if it's in the thousands, but maybe of people working in marketing, finance, maintenance of the arenas, and then the healthcare around it. All these things.
Yeah, it's I wouldn't say it's endless, but it's almost endless because and you create other opportunities, you create other entrepreneurships that happen, you create restaurants that open up around those places, then you got the food stuff. I mean, it's all connected, and then that turns into sponsorships again a lot of times too. They want to be closer to what's happening. They want to sponsor this team and that team and that team because they sell the best whatever protein bar or whatnot. They want everybody to know about it, or the restaurants that open up nearby the arenas and everybody goes there, or and so on and so forth. And and one thing that's turned out really successful is, which I mentioned before, is all the jobs that open up that most people don't know are in sports. They think about the
Mm.
players and they think about all that around there, but the people, like I said, that are in representing athletes, or people that are working for shoe companies that they need more, or
The
um,
building. The
yeah,
building of the arena itself. Like
no, it's
imagine all the
absolutely
contracts that will be signed to build them
100%.
and take care of them.
100%. That's why I love the fact that I got great real estate experience also
Yeah,
from
exactly.
after I
Yeah,
left Deloitte, and that's why if you can template these buildings, you can do it more effectively.
yeah,
Um, there's you can the jobs that are there, everybody from taking care of the ice to the tickets to the security to, I mean, you name it. There's so many things that go on, and then everything around that. You can have parks around it. You can put rinks in entertainment centers. You can
yeah.
put rinks in shopping centers as well, where young teams could play and or skate at the same time and then go shopping or before or whatever. There's so
Wow.
many strategic ways you can do it, and you could put it near the ski resort, and people can go
Yeah.
skating when they're not skiing. You know.
And the know-how is available, I guess. In Canada, there must be companies that know how to build such arenas,
Oh yeah,
ice
it's
hockey.
yeah. I mean, I know how to do it even, but I don't do it myself. But I
Yeah,
know
but
how
I'm sure
to.
people who do it. And
100%.
yeah. And in addition to that, the sponsors they would be lining up to enter the country, like international ones.
I can't imagine. And then, the banks or however the financial system is going to evolve in the
Yeah.
future. for all of this, et cetera. Construction loans that are going to be needed for the contractors you talk about.
Yeah.
You name it. It's a dominoes effect that happens, and which makes it super exciting. And then at the end of the day, the community pride, the country pride of developing people, um, that are good, that are going to be good people, developing people that, the pride of their country, pride of their town, part of their team, and then like we talked about, where other people get to know, the people there and vice versa for programs. We need so much more of this stuff, so that we can all start doing great things,
Yeah.
um, rather than arguing with each other all the
No,
time.
exactly. And then tying this to their national identity as well, that we do everything. Um, we do cool stuff in the desert. What was the catchy phrase that you mentioned the other day?
Um, it's cool in temperature and it's cool in the sport or something like that. I
Yeah, yeah,
can't
exactly. Yeah, like
remember. It's double cool. Oh, you
it's
said
double
it too,
cool.
though. This is really hot and it's
Yeah,
really cool too.
it's really cool. Exactly.
Um, so there's marketing guys that really know how to promote that really
Yeah.
well. Um,
Yeah, I think it'll be fun to come up with slogans like these. Was there anything else I've missed that I should have asked you about in it, but I haven't?
um, just the fact that we've hit on youth and adults, and
Mm.
I think it'd be spectacular, if Saudi Arabia is represented in the Olympics and having a hockey team, because it'd be like, really? They have a hockey team?
Bit like Jamaica. I think I mentioned it
The
the other day.
bobsled team.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
They
Uh,
made a film about it, and I can imagine like I can see us making a documentary about Saudi Arabia going, the team, the national Saudi team, the national ice hockey Saudi team. That would be amazing.
yeah, it would be in, score here or something. I don't know. There's different ways you can marketing branding, but I think um I think we touched on it a little bit, but maybe one last time, where the perfect timing of the mood, the ambition, the innovation that's happening in Saudi Arabia right now, um, to um, to develop a pro team, but not only for that, but to show the younger people and be proud of the athletes that are doing that, to then develop, and then you develop all these teams, and then you have a whole future forever of young players to be in the Olympics, or young players to maybe be in the NHL, which would be the first Saudi Arabian to play in the NHL or something like that. When you get the first Norwegian or the first whatever playing in the NHL, they make a big deal out of it, and the
Yeah,
whole
exactly.
country watches that guy, or
Yeah.
so
And it also and then suddenly it changes changes the stereotypes about the country. No,
100%.
it's part of the culture. This is how we shape cultures. Sports, media, and through them, you will like if you see a Saudi guy playing ice hockey in a Canadian or a Swedish team, then there's suddenly your idea of how Saudi Arabia is would just change. It's a bit like in soccer, or like
Yep.
sometimes you see like Mo Salah in London. Like suddenly, like you view Arabs in a different light, right?
Yeah. No, hey, listen, they always talk about the first black person that played
Yeah.
hockey, Willie McGee, and it was like amazing that he played hockey, and that was just a black person, not just, but here in the States. Imagine from Saudi or wherever, that happening, and then again, imagining international young teams and pros playing in Saudi. I could easily see that. It would be a guarantee that it would happen.
Like Cristiano Ronaldo playing football. I remember a few years ago when he went there, everybody was like, "What? Like he's going to Saudi Arabia? He was just playing for like the biggest league in Europe, and now he's going to Saudi Arabia." So they broke that barrier already.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Miami, they got messy, but it does break the barrier, and it's a great point that you raised, because you know the world, we should start doing more of these things, or continue to do more of these things that'll make so much of a difference for everybody. Everybody in every city, every country wants the same thing. They want to have happy family, a secure family, some financial security, and just live a good life. This isn't that complicated. And imagine the money spent in things like this rather than other things
Yeah.
that could. And it's not a fluffy thing. It's not a ridiculous ideology thing. It's an important thing. And kids are the best because kids they get along immediately. You know, they engage with each other. They touch each other's hair and see, wow, your hair is different. That's pretty cool. And or whatever whatever they do. And but they'll compete, but then after I've seen it a million times. After a hockey game, they'll compete, then they're in the restaurant all together having fun and doing things, you know, and developing lifelong friends that way. And if the young people develop lifelong friends, it's not hard to imagine that, you know, fighting and all sorts of crappy stuff that happens in the world maybe doesn't happen anymore if we just all get to know each other, you know? It's
Yeah. No, yeah, I totally agree with you. But I was just about to ask you who's the best ice hockey country in the world. Is it Sweden or being Swedish citizen or Canada, in your opinion?
what a question. Give me a break.
Because I'm
It's
thinking about the future trainer of the Saudi national team. Where would he come from?
it depends, but I mean Canada's a pretty good place to start. You know, I mean, you know, I've had the opportunity of meeting some great players and watching some great players, and Um, one of the thing there's different types of training too. A superstar hockey player isn't necessarily the best coach. This happens in every sport. Isn't
Yeah.
necessarily the best coach. 'Cause sometimes a superstar, it comes so natural to him that it's hard to maybe coach someone because they expect them to just be like them right away, type of thing. That's a superstar. So you need somebody that also knows how to train. It's like a teacher, knows how to
It was
train.
like a driver. Like I drive very well. I don't know how to teach others to drive, right?
And that's why a lot of times they say maybe it's better to not to have your father teach you how to drive because it's too
Yeah.
emotional. Just have
Yeah,
someone
exactly.
else.
Take it out of him.
But there's so many great and the great thing about it is one of my sons is a goalie, for example. He learned from different goalies how to play his best as himself. So this goalie was maybe great in teaching him how to hold the stick or whatever. But the other goalie maybe was great at how to move or whatever the scenario is. And great coaches and great athletes know how to take the best of what they're taught and be themselves as a player. And it's super important to learn because there's this syndrome a little bit right now, people being depressed because they didn't become Messi or Ronaldo
Yeah,
or an
it's
actor or
everywhere.
whatever. But you did the best who you are, and that's fine. Doesn't make you a loser or anything.
But
And
sometimes it's the parents as well. Like,
sometimes, a lot of
who
times.
push their kids to like they feel like they couldn't become a top player in soccer or whatever, and now they take it out on their kids and they push them too hard and too
Yeah.
strict with them.
No, you're 100% right. We've had
Have you
this
seen this in hockey as well?
totally. I mean, the parents think that their kid's the fastest, the bestest of, you know, of
Yeah.
everything. And even if the kid is great, you could ruin him or her, if you will.
Yeah, it stirs them too much.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be fun. Again, 99% or 95%, whatever, don't become pros.
Yeah.
And it's something we've done for a long time is realizing and coaching other coaches that you're teaching more than just hockey
Yeah.
by a long shot. Even if you don't know it, you're teaching more than just hockey. You're teaching how a coach is. You're teaching how you know, a player how to prepare for anything. Like that coach I had told me how to prepare for exams and everything beyond just visualizing for hockey. You're teaching how to be a teammate, not to have a big ego, but it's about the team winning, not just you winning. You're teaching so
Mm.
many things, how to eat better, how to be ready before a game. You don't go swimming the night before because that could take all your energy out the
Because you're
night
working
before.
towards a goal as well. So it teaches you patience, perseverance, working towards a goal,
100%. Teaches you that if you lost,
discipline.
oh, total discipline. I mean, I remember my son when he was 7 being taught by Roberto Luongo was the pro, he's a top NHL goalie, pro goalie. And he said, the minute you let a goal in, think about it for 3 seconds and then forget about it because if you don't forget about it, you're going to let 5 more goals in.
Such
Type
a
of
metaphor. That's a great actually metaphor for life as well. Like, if you
100%.
fall, get up again. Don't look behind, don't look back, just keep going.
Yeah. And it's not necessarily easy, but it's the
No.
thing to do. And if you train yourself to do that, and the way he said it was important because if you don't do that, you're going to let five more goals in and you're really going to be sad type of
Yeah,
thing. So, there's so many things that go into it. And at the end of the day, there's a famous quote by a lady by the name of Maya Angelou. I don't know if you know who she is, but she's passed away now. She said, "Most people forget what you've said, most people forget what you've done, but they'll always remember how you made them feel." Exactly.
exactly.
And if you make people feel good, like they belong, they'll do anything with you and for you and type of thing because isn't that what we all really want is to
Yeah,
feel
but
good.
that's the job of a great leader, and I think the MBS as well, the King of Saudi right now, he's is a good leader in the sense that, and apparently actually Saudi ranks as number one country where the citizens of the country trust the leadership. You know
Wow.
that they just the ranking just came out, and Saudi Arabia is number one.
Wow.
So the government, the king and his team has managed to rally everybody, the whole nation behind their Vision 2030, and they're really working hard to make everyone. And I was there a few days ago, and everybody's excited about what's going on, and which is really amazing.
Isn't it? It brings a town, a city, a region, a country together.
Yeah.
And what
And we missed
happens?
that in the West, by the way. Like it's a shame. Like right now, we
Yeah.
don't have like common goals, and that's why I was telling you before that Saudi Arabia is one of the hottest. Like
And to be the coolest,
and it's about to be the coolest and the hottest spots on earth right now.
it's a
Like
great
it's quite true.
feeling when you
Yeah.
have that energy because that energy creates more positive energy. People feel more creative. They feel, let's do something here, let's do something there. It's a momentum that happens, and it's not fake. It's real stuff that you're talking about, and it works. So let's get an appointment with MBS and
Yeah,
just
totally. And before I forget, health is an important focus of their Vision 2030. So they aim to improve the health of the Saudi nation, and I think ice hockey is a great example, mental and physical health. How do people train? Like, what does it take to become a fit player? What kinds of training? So you talked about visualization. Is there any other specifics that you could share with us?
Yeah, visualization really goes along on the mental lines,
Yeah.
and really, really works because um, your brain thinks you've been there already. And so
Yeah.
when you get on the ice, you've been there already, you go. But there's um, there's different training techniques for different ages, if you will. But the number one thing to be strong at first is skating. So
Mm.
a lot of times you would skate with even even with no stick or anything, teach them how to skate, with their because that's their whole core
So you
is
don't train like in the gym before, you just skate, you don't like do weights and stuff, or it depends on the age. Uh,
but yeah, you're not going to do weights at two, although they might
yeah.
have little and whatnot, but you can get them on the ice skating. You can also do balancing. There's balancing training that you do that for example, if you ever tried to lift one leg up and you can't go on one leg, but if you focus on one dot somewhere, you'll be able to balance yourself a lot easier because for some reason your equilibrium is focused on that dot and you're able to balance yourself. And so balancing training is good. The shooting and all that comes after because you want them at 2 and 3 and 4 and 5. You want them to have fun. It's not
Mm.
about becoming whatever. Have fun. And they have fun doing stuff like that. You can have exercises like who can stand on one skate the longest or whatever. Things of that nature. And or you skate down part of the ice and you fall and slide the rest of the way. Things of that. And part of that is to know not only about sliding is and how to be when you're sliding or it's fun, but then how do you get up from sliding
Mm.
and doing that? And that, by the way, also creates muscle and whatnot to know how to do that. And you go in stages of how to train them where it's fun, and then then the more sophisticated stuff comes when they start getting better and this how heavy a stick, how tall a stick, how much flex in a stick, what's the best type of pads for them to wear, obviously they have to wear helmets and everything, and that's important, and feel comfortable in them. And you know, you make it's a whole long list, but you make practices different and interesting, like they should do in most sports. You don't make practice everyone the exact same thing, because especially for young kids, they'll
You mean
lose.
like till you master it?
Yeah, to
Yeah.
master
Okay.
it,
Yeah.
and then to just develop them. Just first of all, you want them to have fun. Let's say from two to five, have a
Mm.
lot of fun and fun and fun, and develop skills that they don't even know they're developing, basically. And but they're having fun, and then it starts getting into more techniques and stuff about the shooting and everything like that, and you know, again, and how to fall down, how to get up, how to go back to the ice side, you know. I remember when my youngest boy was like really young, five, six, seven, and they were training and whatnot, and he thought he was a comedian. So every time he'd go towards the bench, if the door's here and the boards is here, he wouldn't go to the door, he'd go to the boards and he'd fall down because he was a jokester and everything, and just make fun. But if they're having fun, they'll keep playing and they'll get better without even knowing that they're necessarily getting better. And then certainly there's techniques on in hockey, you're playing for 1 minute, 1.5 minutes, and then you're changing, playing 1.5 minutes. So you've got to have an ability to go hard for a short period of time and then not, short period of time not. So you have breathing skills and skating skills that it's different than a marathon, you know,
Yeah.
where you're just going and going and going, and it's different than just one big sprint. It's a sprint, stop type of thing when you're coming off and you're going on. And it's one of the big differences of most sports. People see them changing while the game is going on, and they're like, "What are you doing?" If
Yeah.
they've never seen that before. All these things, you know, all these things come into play, and so there's a long list, and there's coaching credentials on how to teach kids and everything, which obviously we know about. And um, you mentioned something before. I don't remember what it was related exactly, but well, the pressure of parents.
Yeah.
Kids can get burnt out if they're not having fun. Anybody can get burnt out
Yes.
if you're not having fun, and you won't play as well if you're not having fun. Even pros would tell you that. You know, you get psyched up for the excitement of the game, but if you're too psyched up, your hands won't work the same way. You won't catch
Mm.
the ball. You won't kick the ball. You won't be able to shoot because you're too psyched up. So you have to know this is where the mental part comes in. The visualization comes in is how to channel that energy, that excitement, which you want, the passion, um, to a place where you'll play better, not to where it'll be so crazy that you're too nervous or you're whatever it may be. And it's great education, like I said, I had for kids and everything else that they do. Maybe they're going on stage to sing, and maybe they're whatever they're doing, and to be nervous, because to be nervous means you care,
Mm.
usually.
Yeah. But not too
Um,
nervous to get paralyzed.
exactly. How to channel that nervousness, that energy
Into
into
excitement.
exactly into excitement,
Yeah.
exactly. And pros have to do it all the time.
Does ice hockey have any unique traits that doesn't share with other sports? Like, like if you were if you were a scout and you're trying to attract, like, get new talent, new kids to practice ice hockey for first time in their lives, how would you like get them to join?
We were just that was one
Well,
of the
the
ways.
ice in the desert, that's
But yeah,
probably
well, that would be easy, actually.
everybody would be like, yeah, it's too
I
hot
mean,
here, let me
yeah,
in.
exactly. Yeah, that would be a no-brainer compared
Yeah,
to
especially
getting
in
kids.
Saudi Arabia, not in
Yeah.
Canada. Probably they're probably looking for something
Well,
hot but
In
cool.
Canada, you would go out and find the people that are rollerblading around,
Yeah.
saying we want to switch to skates. That happens a lot. Um, it's generally it's generally you know, it's generally kids that want to do something different. It's generally kids that want to do something different, and hockey has a, you know, all the sports are great. Hockey seems to have I don't know, a little bit uniqueness to it that that players bond seemingly, you know,
Mm,
stronger than, but I
yeah.
can't say it again because they do that in all sports, but stronger. And there's just something so cool, again, no pun intended, but playing on two blades.
Mm,
It's something
yeah.
cool on playing on two blades, and you don't get that feeling anywhere else on what that looks
Like you're
like.
dancing somehow, dancing
Yeah,
like
it's a
racing and
tremendous,
play.
yeah, it's a tremendous skill. And when you're doing it, you feel good. Even figure skaters and couple figure skaters, the way they combine dance and everything with it is it's spectacular.
Yeah,
And so yeah, it is unique in that regard. And you know, and they like to meet Canadians because we're all nice people.
yeah.
You know, so
A,
hey,
A.
they know what we're all about.
About, yeah.
Hey,
But
and
what about the physical? Like physically, when like, do you have to be to have a certain like body type to be able to become a good like a pro athlete, or doesn't really matter?
well, pro athletes now are they're bigger in every sport. There seems like
Yeah,
every
yeah,
pro
it's
athlete.
that's a trend apparently. Actually, physically, like new
Yeah,
generations are bigger and bigger, getting bigger and bigger. It's probably
yeah.
due to the diet, like better.
I think it's due to diet, but it's also due to the team. The pro teams want bigger players. They think bigger
Mm,
players win. And
yeah,
it used to be in hockey, smaller players were the faster ones, bigger players were the tougher ones, and that's what they
yeah.
did. But now even the big players are
Fast.
amazingly skilled in hockey, and in amazing shape, and they skate fast. And there's a lot of hitting that goes on in hockey, and they're just in fantastic shape to do it. For kids, though, because again, they're not becoming pros and most of them won't. But
Yeah.
for kids, I know for women, they say ice skating helps prevent osteoporosis, something to do with the bones and whatnot.
Mm,
Um, for kids, you can be any size. Let's say up until like 15, 16, when it starts getting to the bigger ones. But because up to a certain age, I think it's 12 or 13, there's no hitting, first of all, at all,
mm,
um, because they want them to learn how to do everything else and not necessarily get hurt. And even after that, you good coaches know how to teach how to hit properly and how to take a hit properly,
mm.
without getting hurt. So that goes on too. But skating is an amazing thing for anybody to do. And again, when you have an ice hockey program and a figure skating program, you also have free skating. It's called free skating at an arena.
Yeah.
It's not really free. Most of the time you pay like whatever for it, but so many people do it, sometimes to get out of the hot weather, and so
Yeah.
many do it because it's a unique thing to do. It's a fun thing to do that you most of the time you wouldn't do, especially in Saudi Arabia. And
Yeah.
people go skating. They just go skating around the ice, and it's just a different feeling than, you're going to go with your sister out on the football field. Probably not. You're going to go with your sister maybe to kick a football around, a soccer ball around. You might do that, but it's just a different thing going skating. And that's not only an economic thing, but again, it's a community coming together thing. I mean, families going skating is an amazing thing. You can't do that in most sports. Families go skating together, because it's fun and it's another activity families can do together. Um, I can't actually think of another sport that families go together on.
No.
Can you?
Uh, Canoeing maybe, but not really.
Yeah.
No,
And
but
how many?
skating, it's a bit like dancing, but you're
Yep.
working out at the same time. Actually, you're training. It's a bit like you're having fun.
Yeah. And,
Yeah,
and
does it take a long time to learn to skate for our Saudi audience? Maybe
I can
kids
teach.
are probably faster. Like,
I can teach you how to skate in a week.
yeah, there you go.
Uh,
You can like adults and kids, but probably kids are will would pick it up much quicker, I think.
Yeah, they go pretty quick.
Yeah,
Once they feel confident on the ice and they're not scared of falling.
yeah.
In fact, that's how we teach them a lot of times is to fall all the time. Fall, and realize nothing happened, basically. You know, they're fine, type of
Yeah,
thing.
exactly.
They always wear a helmet because you don't want
Yeah.
them and all that. But
Damn.
I do like the fact we just touched on the family thing.
Yeah.
Um, there is no other sport I know of, unless they all go out into the basketball court, which that never happens with a family. But families a lot of times, at least here, go skating. Um, and you don't have to be a special skater. In fact, it's always fun for the kids to, see dad fall when he's skating or things like
Exactly.
and whatnot. But it's yeah, it makes for good fun, and it also makes for good participation in the sense of the family cheering on their kid on a team type of
Yeah.
thing. That's always fantastic. But for teaching, there's methods that teach them really fast. Like I say, about not worrying about falling and having fun, and sometimes half the fun of training is falling so many times at the beginning that you're laughing about it. The kids laugh about it, and then they just get up and they go and stuff. And I think almost everyone can learn how to skate. And up to at least a certain age. I've known people in their 70s and 80s that have skated and keep skating. It's just
It's never
tremendous
too late.
exercise, and you can do it. You can not. Not everybody likes going to the gym.
Yeah.
And not everyone would like to necessarily go ice skating either, but you
It's
can.
it's an alternative. Exactly. It's a healthy one to the
Yep.
gym. What about, but you're in California? Do you have any arenas there in
Oh,
Cali?
we've got tons of arenas, tons and tons and tons, and we've got three professional hockey teams in California, and two of them have won Stanley Cups, championships,
Well,
multiples. There's two pro teams in Florida, another hot place, and both of
there you
those
go.
teams
So yeah,
have won championships, and they never, no joke, no one ever thought Florida and California would have hockey teams for the same reason we're talking about. Who's going to want to go watch or play hockey in Florida and California? That's ridiculous. And you know what?
and did they get like fans? Do they fill up
Totally.
stadiums and stuff?
Totally, totally, totally. I mean, especially since they were winning a lot of years. But yeah, people loved it. And you know what happens is people, let's say Canadians move to Florida and California and they go to the games also.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
maybe you'll get more corporates going to Saudi Arabia and
Yeah.
all the people that maybe the relocated people that go to Saudi to work, maybe they'll go to the hockey games. It's so many interesting ways to get people to
Maybe we
come
should
to.
talk. Like speaking of which, I think maybe we should talk to the Canadian embassy as well in Riyadh.
Good
Um,
idea.
I might have some contacts there. It's I'm sure this is like the national sport in Canada, right?
Big time. We would joke around
Like
saying,
whenever you think of Canada, it's like what? Yeah,
we would joke around and saying our
snow
moms,
and
our moms are really tough because we come out with skates on, basically. And so but yeah, we grow up with it. That doesn't mean every single person in Canada is a hockey fan, but yeah, pretty well
yeah.
and stuff. But it's a great idea talking to the embassy and even Canadian and US even type of thing, and
Uh,
or even all of them, even all of them. Start with Canada and get it going. It's just there's just so many positives about doing this
Definitely.
um, that
You
make
got me
it
excited when you told me about the idea. I was like, wow, this is like you see the potential, even like from different points of perspectives. Like even in like politically speaking, like in diplomacy, like speaking of Canada, I think this is something that can bring both countries together. Canada and the U.S. with well, the U.S. and Saudi are they already get along, but in terms of international relations between Canada, for example, and Saudi Arabia, like how do you think there's what benefits would Canada and Saudi draw from like promoting hockey in the kingdom?
well, Canada can provide all the hockey pucks. Or
Yeah, for
something.
starters.
No, you know what would happen?
Yeah,
Companies would want to at least establish business there, probably.
trade. Hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
you'd have trade and you'd have sponsorship and you'd have stuff like that would go on. You'd have competitions that would happen. You'd have airlines flying to bring all these people to and from, etc.,
Mhm.
and organizing events. You'd have certain restaurants that I know you have a lot of. Saudi has a lot of McDonald's now, right? I think
Everywhere. Yeah, but maybe Canadian like
Tim
what's
Horton.
that coffee? Yeah, exactly. Coffee. Important.
Tim Hortons donuts. He was a
Sure.
pro hockey
I don't
player.
know if they're already there on the ground, but they would open more stores probably.
Oh, for sure. You'd have some sports equipment stores all of a sudden have hockey equipment. You'd have stuff like that happen. But most important, like we talked about before, people would start knowing about each other.
Mm.
And and hearing about each other. And if they had kids doing exchanges there, they would do it. And by the way, something we didn't talk about even yet as well. Universities have exchanges
Oh,
to
yeah.
teach things. You have sports management. Some of the stuff we talked about before they would start changing in universities, exchange programs as well. Um, cool things like that would all happen. And you'd have, schools, doing, even if it's not on ice, shooting contests or something in the
Yeah.
gym, for
Yeah.
exercise. You'd have floor hockey and field hockey and roller hockey that would happen because of it, which then brings more apparel and more equipment and more stuff that goes on. It's economically, you know, um, I've done something like that just in Miami also. Not only with hockey but with cycling, which is a lot harder to promote than hockey in that sense. And about there's always corporate sponsors and investors that want to be involved. It's not always for only economic impact. Sometimes it's for ego, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's for emotion because they
Yeah.
remembered when they were playing sports. They remembered when they did this and they did that, and how it impacted them, and how they want the same thing for the kids and the country too. So
Yeah.
all that makes a big deal.
No, it sounds like there's only positive things coming out of such an initiative. This is really fantastic, and I look forward to following up on this, and maybe having a part two to talk about sports management, as you said, sports and politics, and international promotions for the country in Saudi Arabia.
Let's do it. Let's do
Would
it.
you move? Would you move there if you got the green light? When you get the green light, sorry, not F, but when you get the green light for this initiative
Yeah,
for a
you know,
bit?
if it was put together right, absolutely. I'm a pretty adventurous guy in that sense, and the project is everything we've talked about is so exciting
Yeah.
that I would absolutely it'd be an adventure for me. It's not just about money. It's not just about money. We make enough money,
About
won't we?
impact, yeah, money's everywhere. It's about what kind of, yes, you want to make a living, but at the end of the day, you want to wake up in the morning and say, I've done something with my life. I've lived, I made an impact.
Yeah. I've already asked my kids. They said, "Yeah, let's go."
Yeah, exactly.
My two younger boys are the
Yeah,
great hockey players, and they said,
awesome.
"Yeah, let's do it."
Yeah, you can
So,
train.
yeah, it's just exciting what can happen. So, yeah, looking forward to keep going.
Yeah. Well, best of luck. Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh man, it's been my privilege.
Um,
Thanks a lot, man.
and I look forward to staying in touch.
We're gonna score a lot of goals.
Yeah, I've already made my luggage, and uh, let's book it, take it together.
Okay, yeah, we're
Yeah.
gonna do that for sure. We're
Too.
gonna do that for sure. Thanks so much for having me. This is fantastic. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Thank you. Bye.